Imagine walking onto a red carpet and literally stopping the world in its tracks. I'm not even exaggerating for effect. When Zendaya steps out of a car at the Met Gala or a major movie premiere, the internet doesn't just notice, it completely breaks. It's widely known among fans and journalists as the Zendaya effect, and it represents a level of cultural influence that most veteran stars can only dream of reaching in their entire lives. Whether she's rocking a stunning vintage gown that looks like it belongs in a museum or a literal robotic suit that looks like it's pulled straight from a sci-fi future, she isn't just wearing clothes. She is making a definitive statement about her power. Along with her image architect Law Roach, she has turned every single public appearance into a high-stakes game of fashion chess. And right now, she's playing a game that nobody else in the industry can even follow. But let's talk about the real power move, because the numbers are where things get truly intense. Have you heard about her recent contract for the upcoming third season of Euphoria? Insiders and industry reports have confirmed that she successfully negotiated a salary of $1 million per episode. Let that really sink in for a moment. $1 million for every single hour she spends on our screens as the character Rue. That kind of massive paycheck isn't just about the money, it's a loud, clear signal to the rest of the world that she has officially entered the most elite tier of Hollywood earners. She's sitting at the same table as the industry giants, and the most incredible part is that she's only 27 years old. How did this happen so fast? How did a girl who started as a backup dancer in Oakland, California, working on Kids Bop videos and Sears commercials, become the most influential woman in both high fashion and blockbuster film? It might feel like she appeared out of nowhere, but the truth is way more complicated and much more interesting than a simple overnight success story. Before we dive deeper into her master plan, you guys have to realize that Zendaya's journey wasn't just a stroke of luck. It was a calculated, brilliant series of moves that would make a corporate CEO jealous. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. We love seeing our global community grow and hearing your thoughts. From those early days on the Disney Channel where she was just another talented kid on Shake It Up, she has evolved into a two-time Emmy winner who can carry a massive franchise like Spider-Man or lead a prestige epic like Dune. She didn't just outgrow her Disney roots. She completely reinvented the blueprint of what a child star is supposed to become. Most people who start where she did end up fading away or getting caught up in the usual Hollywood drama, but Zendaya, she has become a literal icon of class, talent, and business savvy. Seriously, you have to ask yourself, is there anyone in Hollywood right now making smarter moves than her? While other young actors are taking every single role offered to them just to stay relevant, Zendaya is being incredibly selective. She's building a brand that feels absolutely untouchable. She isn't just an actress anymore. She's a producer, a face for world-renowned luxury houses like Louis Vuitton and Lancôme, and one half of the world's most beloved power couple alongside her British co-star Tom Holland. But don't let the glitz and the glamour fool you. It wasn't always this smooth of a ride. Behind the scenes, Zendaya had to fight tooth and nail for her seat at the table. There were gatekeeping designers who initially refused to dress her, skeptics who underestimated her range, and an entire industry that wanted to keep her in a teenager box for as long as possible. She had to break those doors down manually, and the way she did it is absolutely wild. People don't realize how much she actually risked to get here, and some of the specific demands she made during her transition years would have ended anyone else's career. But for Zendaya, those risks were the foundation of a massive empire. She knew she had something special, and she wasn't going to let anyone tell her otherwise. The ascent was fast, but the climb was hard fought, and the details of how she secured her power are going to blow your mind. Let's take a trip back to the early 2010s. Remember those bright neon outfits and the dance moves of Shake It Up? That was the world's first taste of Zendaya's charisma. But here is a little piece of trivia that fans forget. She didn't actually audition for the role of Rocky Blue at the very start. Can you believe she originally went out for the part of Cece Jones? The producers saw something different, a grounded, cool energy that perfectly balanced the show. Looking back, that was the first sign she wasn't just going to be another cookie-cutter Disney star. She had a maturity even then that felt light years ahead. While her peers were leaning into the bubblegum aesthetic, Zendaya was already thinking about her long-term legacy. When her first show was wrapping up, most Disney kids were desperate to run away. They usually want to go edgy or do something wild to prove they are adults. But Zendaya, she was way smarter. She agreed to stay for another series, KC Undercover, but only if the executives met her very bold conditions. This wasn't just a young actress asking for perks. At 16, she demanded a producer credit. Let that sink in. She wanted a seat in the room where decisions were made. She refused to be a damsel or just another boy-crazy teenager. She insisted that KC be socially awkward, skilled in martial arts, and intellectually sharp. She was building a modern hero from the ground up. This move is how she avoided that infamous child star curse. You know the narrative, the public meltdowns, scandals, and messy attempts to be seen as grown up. Zendaya skipped all of that. How? By taking absolute control of her image before anyone else defined it. She didn't let the Disney machine mold her into a disposable product. She used the platform as a springboard to build her own independent brand, and she did this with the support of a tight-knit inner circle. We are talking about her family-led management team. Her parents weren't stage parents. They were protectors. They ensured she stayed grounded in her Oakland roots even while the Hollywood lights got brighter. Then there is her secret weapon, Law Roach, her dedicated image architect. This partnership is true Hollywood legend. While other starlets let stylists put them in whatever was trendy, Zendaya and Law were playing fashion chess. They knew that if she could conquer high fashion, the serious movie roles would follow. They used the red carpet as a secondary stage to show she was a chameleon. She could be a princess one day and a high fashion rebel the next. This brand control is why she feels so different. While others are oversharing on social media, Zendaya maintains a mysterious distance. She truly understands that in the modern age, privacy is actually the ultimate form of luxury and currency. Compare her to any other star who grew up on camera, and the difference is absolutely staggering. You rarely see her involved in public feuds or messy, publicized breakups. She treats her career like a prestigious business, and the results speak for themselves. She transitioned from an Oakland dancer to the ultimate leading lady without ever losing her dignity. But here's the kicker. And this is what really separates her from the rest of the industry. You won't believe the specific list of demands she handed to those Disney executives to make sure her character wasn't just another typical teenager. She was fighting for representation and depth before those were even buzzwords. Wait until you hear the specific demands she made to Disney to ensure her character wasn't just another typical teenager. So, those demands she made to Disney, they were basically her saying, I am not a product, I am a partner. She insisted KC wasn't a singer or a dancer because she knew that Popstar label was a trap. Instead, she wanted KC to be a math genius who struggled with social cues. Basically a real girl. That was her first major power move, but the fashion world was an even tougher nut to crack. You see, back then, the elite designers were doing some serious gatekeeping. They didn't think a Disney kid belonged in their front rows. Law Roach, her legendary stylist and image architect, has been very open about this struggle. They would reach out to the big five luxury houses and get a flat no. But did they give up? Absolutely not. They turned it into a game of fashion sabotage. Law started putting her in pieces from up-and-coming designers or archival vintage that looked better than the current runway stuff. They made the industry look at her by being impossible to ignore. It was like they were saying, if you won't give us a seat, we'll build our own table and make yours look boring. Rumors have it that Law Roach even kept a list of every brand that snubbed her early on. Later, when those same brands were begging Zendaya to wear their clothes, Law allegedly told them no. Talk about iconic revenge, right? It's that kind of loyalty and long-term vision that sets her apart. While other stars were just happy to be invited, Zendaya and Law were building a legacy of exclusive power. This same selective energy carried over into her film career. Think about her roles in Spider-Man and Dune. She didn't need to be the lead with the most lines to own the movie. In Homecoming, she was barely on screen, yet her version of MJ became an instant fan favorite. Then came Dune. I remember everyone being shocked that she was only in the first movie for about 7 minutes after all that promotion. But that was the plan. She wasn't oversaturating her brand. She was creating a massive hunger for her character. She knows that being a movie star is about quality, not just quantity. She picks projects that feel like events. But the real gamble, that was Euphoria. Everyone, and I mean everyone, thought playing a drug-addicted teenager like Rue was going to destroy her clean, polished image. Her team was nervous, her fans were worried, and the industry was waiting for her to fail. It was a complete 180 from the Disney days. But Zendaya saw something they didn't. She saw a chance to show her raw, gritty talent and to take control of the narrative by becoming an executive producer. By the time season 2 rolled around, she wasn't just acting, she was a creative force behind the camera, helping to shape the very world she was living in on screen. This transition into behind-the-scenes power is exactly why she was able to negotiate that massive $1 million per episode deal. She's not just an employee of the studio, she's an essential part of the production. You see it in her latest film, Challengers, too. She didn't just play Tashi Duncan, she produced the film and spent months training to ensure every detail was perfect. She is playing the long game in a way that most actors her age just aren't prepared for. She's securing her future as a mogul while everyone else is just looking for their next gig. But as much as we talk about her professional genius, the industry isn't just about movies and fashion deals. It's also about the public's absolute obsession with her private life. For years, people have been dissecting every photo and every caption, trying to find out what's really going on behind closed doors. Especially when it involves a certain charming British co-star. You'd think that having over 180 million followers on Instagram would be a recipe for absolute disaster, wouldn't you? In an era where one wrong tweet or a single accidental like can end a career in minutes, Zendaya has managed to navigate the digital minefield with the precision of a master architect. She's often called the unproblematic queen by the internet, and honestly, that title is very well earned. While other celebrities are out here getting caught in messy TikTok drama or oversharing every single thought they have on threads, Zendaya uses her social media as a carefully curated gallery of her professional life. She's like a ghost in the machine, popping up only to drop a stunning photo or a heartfelt tribute, and then vanishing back into her private world. It's a total genius move, really. By staying out of the noise, she makes every single post feel like a major global event. Have you ever noticed how the internet literally stops moving when she uploads a single photo? That is the power of scarcity in an age where everyone else is oversaturating our feeds. But let's talk about her secret weapon, the Z-O-Laters. This isn't just a fan base. It's a global defensive force that is always on high alert. Her fans are fiercely, unapologetically loyal, and they treat her like she's their best friend and their idol all wrapped into one. If someone even tries to start a fake rumor or speaks ill of her work, the Z-Laters are there in seconds with receipts, memes, and a level of organization that would make a military general jealous. They don't just love her movies, but they respect her character and her poise. They see a young woman who hasn't compromised her values for a quick headline or a cheap laugh, and Zendaya knows this. She treats her fans with a level of genuine respect that you just don't see often anymore in Hollywood. She isn't trying to sell them a lifestyle they can't afford every 5 seconds. She's inviting them to witness her professional journey. And oh, what a journey it's been for our eyes. We have to talk about those viral moments that absolutely broke the internet. Do you remember the 2019 Met Gala when she arrived as a literal Cinderella? When Law Roach waved that magic wand and her dress actually lit up? That wasn't just a costume. It was a major statement that her Disney days were being transformed into something legendary. Or how about the robotic Muggler suit she wore for the Dune Part 2 premiere in London? It was a bold, risky, high-fashion move that most actors wouldn't dare touch because it was so avant-garde. She looked like she stepped right out of a sci-fi masterpiece, and it instantly became one of the most talked about fashion moments of the decade. Lately, she's been leaning into tennis core and method dressing, like during the Challengers Press tour where she wore those iconic tennis ball heels. It's all part of the master strategy. She turns every sidewalk and every staircase into a high-stakes runway, making sure the world is talking about her projects without her ever having to say a single word of marketing fluff. What's even more impressive is how even people who don't follow her filmography still have massive respect for her hustle. You don't have to watch Euphoria to know that Zendaya is a powerhouse. There is this collective feeling that she is a safe star to root for because she's clearly worked for every single win she's achieved. She manages to be the face of Louis Vuitton and Lancôme, brands that scream unattainable luxury, while still feeling like the girl next door you'd want to grab a burger with in Oakland. How does she do it? It's that grounded, authentic energy. She doesn't act like she's above it all. She acts like she's genuinely grateful to be there. She's the person who will go from a multi-million-dollar shoot in Paris to being spotted at a casual basketball game in her hometown, wearing a hoodie and no makeup. That relatability is her strongest currency in a world of fake personas. It's this balance of being a global icon and a regular human being that keeps her public perception at an all-time high. She's playing a game that very few stars in history have ever mastered, but as her influence continues to skyrocket and her name becomes synonymous with success, something interesting is happening behind the scenes in the industry. While the fans are cheering her on, the whispers in the high-stakes boardrooms of Hollywood are starting to sound a little different. People are beginning to realize that she isn't just a star they can hire. She's becoming a force that can shift the entire market on her own. It makes you wonder, with this much control and this much love from the world, is Zendaya becoming too powerful for Hollywood to handle? But you can't talk about Zendaya's incredible power without mentioning the other half of what has become the most iconic duo of our generation. Enter Tom Holland. With Tom Daya, things feel completely different than your typical celebrity romance. It's genuine, it's sweet, and it has created a power couple brand that honestly rivals the legendary status of Posh and Bex. They are the internet's favorite parents, and yet they give us almost nothing to work with. Have you noticed how they rarely walk red carpets together unless it's for a Spider-Man premiere? They are absolute masters of the soft launch and the occasional birthday tribute that breaks the internet, but beyond that, they are like shadows in the night. This isn't just about being shy, it's a strategic masterclass in using privacy as currency. It's a masterclass in how to stay relevant without overexposure. In a world of oversharing, Zendaya and Tom have built an impenetrable fortress around their relationship. They know that in the high-stakes game of Hollywood, the more you give away for free, the less people are willing to pay for later. By keeping their love life tucked away from prying eyes, they've made themselves the most valuable pair in the entire industry. It keeps the mystery alive and proves they aren't using their love to sell us a product. They're just two young people trying to make a life together while the whole world watches through a high-powered telescope. So, what's actually next for a woman who already seems to have the entire world in the palm of her hand? If you think she's reached her peak, you clearly haven't been paying attention to her trajectory. Zendaya is currently eyeing a slate of projects that would make any veteran Oscar winner's head spin. While she's already secured those 2 historic Emmys for her role in Euphoria, the industry is whispering that she's finally ready to go after the Big O, the Academy Award. We've seen her dominate as a supporting player in Dune and a powerhouse producer-actress in Challengers, but the word on the street is that she's actively looking for that one transformative leading film role that will cement her legacy forever. She's looking for her own Aaron Brockovich or Black Swan moment, and with her track record, who would dare bet against her? But wait, there's even more to this story than just acting. Rumors are swirling in production circles that Zendaya is preparing to finally step behind the camera. We already know she's an incredible producer who knows how to manage a massive budget, but director Zendaya has a completely different ring to it, doesn't it? Imagine a feature-length film directed by the woman who literally redefined modern fashion and television aesthetics. It would be a visual masterpiece. She has that rare, innate eye for detail that you just can't teach in film school, and her transition into directing could make her one of the most influential filmmakers in the game. She's absorbing everything from masters like Denis Villeneuve, waiting for the perfect moment to call action on her own terms. And let's not forget the path to the legendary EGOT. She's already halfway there with the Emmys. She's shown us she can sing beautifully, so a Grammy isn't out of the question if she dives back into music. Then there's the theater. Can you imagine the ticket frenzy if she announced a run on Broadway? She's building a career that is about being undeniable in every artistic medium, but even with all these massive plans, there's one specific rumor that has the inner circles of Hollywood buzzing right now. There is talk of a massive career shift coming in 2025 that no one saw coming. It's not just a new movie role or another brand deal. Some industry insiders say she might be stepping away from acting entirely for a while to focus on a massive global philanthropic initiative. Or perhaps she's launching a media studio of her own that would rival the likes of A24. Whatever the truth is, you can bet your life it's going to be calculated, it's going to be incredibly bold, and it's going to change the Hollywood industry as we know it forever. But before we get to that mysterious future, we have to look at the incredible blueprint she's already laid down for everyone else to follow. Looking at everything she has accomplished, it becomes clear that what we are witnessing isn't just a successful career, it's the creation of the Zendaya blueprint. This is the new gold standard for how to build a lasting legacy in an industry that usually chews up and spits out young stars before they even hit 30. So what exactly is in this blueprint? It's the art of the intentional no. While other actors are scrambling to stay relevant by taking every project that comes their way, Zendaya and her family-led management team have mastered the power of scarcity. By doing less, she actually becomes more. Every time she appears, whether it's in a desert for Dune or on a tennis court for Challengers, it feels like a massive global event because she never overstays her welcome. She's taught the world that being a star isn't about being everywhere. It's about being undeniable when you are there. It is about control, precision, and knowing your worth before anyone else does. And let's talk about her cultural impact, because it's absolutely massive. Zendaya hasn't just changed the game for herself, she's kicked the door wide open for an entire generation of black actresses in leading roles. Before her, the luxury fashion world was notoriously exclusive, often gatekeeping high-end couture from young women of color. But Zendaya, alongside her image architect Law Roach, used the red carpet as a strategic battlefield. They didn't just ask for a seat at the table. They built their own table and made the designers realize they were the ones missing out. Now, seeing a black woman as the face of global luxury brands like Louis Vuitton and Lancôme feels natural, but we can't forget that she was the one who fought those early battles when brands were still snubbing her. She proved that style is a form of power, and she wields it better than anyone in the business. She's changed the way we look at fashion and the way we look at who gets to represent it. This brings us to a big question that critics and fans have been debating lately. Is Zendaya the last true movie star of our generation? Think about it. We live in an era of viral TikTokers and one-hit wonders who are famous for 15 minutes. But Zendaya has that old school Hollywood mystique that feels like it belongs to the era of iconic legends. Yet she's perfectly tuned to the frequency of Gen Z. She's managed to bridge the gap between the prestige of the silver screen and the relatability of a social media icon. She doesn't need a scandal to stay in the headlines. She doesn't need to overshare her life with Tom Holland to keep us interested. Her talent and her presence are enough to keep the world mesmerized. That kind of gravity is incredibly rare, and it's why she is currently the most valuable player on the Hollywood chessboard. So as we reach the end of this deep dive into the Zendaya effect, now I have to ask you guys, what is your favorite Zendaya era? Are you a diehard fan of the early Disney days where she was finding her voice in Shake It Up and KC Undercover? Or did you truly fall in love with her during the gritty, raw, and emotional roller coaster of the Euphoria years? Maybe you're like me and you live for the fashion icon era, waiting for every Met Gala and premiere just to see what kind of history she and Law Roach are going to make next. Drop a comment below and let's talk about it, because there is just so much to unpack with her career. I want to see which era wins in the eyes of the fans. If you enjoyed this deep dive into how Zendaya became one of the most powerful stars in the world, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're always looking at the moves the elite are making, and you don't want to miss our next breakdown of Hollywood's biggest power players and industry secrets. Zendaya is only 27 years old, which is honestly the most terrifying part for any of her competition. She has already conquered television, film, fashion, and the hearts of over 180 million zealators worldwide. If this is the foundation she's built before even hitting 30, just imagine what happens when she really takes over. Whether she moves into directing, secures that EGOT, or launches a media empire that changes the industry for good, one thing is certain: we are all just living in Zendaya's world now, and honestly, we wouldn't have it any other way. Keep your eyes peeled for 2025, because the next chapter of this icon's life is about to be legendary. If you thought you'd seen it all, trust me, she's just getting started.